So we'll continue with problem 14-4. I hope you understand, class, that the focus of my discussion is more on you understanding the accounts class. Okay, instead of just simply arriving at the answer. You have come across these problems already in the past. Okay, what I wish is for you to develop a different understanding of the account so that regardless of the problem that will be given to you, you'll be able to address. You'll know how to approach the various given in the problem. So in problem 14-4, the question here is, under cash basis, what amount should be reported as sales? Again, under cash basis, the determining factor would be your cash receipts. If payments have been received, regardless of whether or not you have earned that payment, regardless of whether or not you have made deliveries for those payments, your cash collections will be recognized and reported as sales already. Okay, and as similar to the previous problem, if you're asked for an amount under the cash basis, we will normally expect to be given the amount under the accrual basis. So let's try to check for that in the problem. During 2023, a service organization had 200,000 in cash sales and 3,000 in credit sales. Okay, so we're given both our cash sales and credit sales. If this was under accrual class, our answer would have simply been 3,200,000. Okay, and that being the case, you should think of eliminating letter B from the choices class. But of course, our goal is that by August, you need not rely on eliminating choices class. Our goal is that the first thing you solve is already the correct answer. Okay, so here we will have to check, were we able to collect the entire 3 million? Okay, because if that was the case class, then the entire 3 million will be part of your sales under cash basis. Okay, but again, what is the normal scenario? Some of your credit sales will not be collected in the same reporting period. Collections on your receivables can happen on subsequent periods, and that is when the sales under cash basis and accrual will now be different. It's okay for you to have credit sales class, okay? But when will they differ? Sales in under cash basis and accrual basis will differ if some of your sales transactions were not yet collected during the year. It's okay if you have sales on account on January, so long as by the end of the year everything is collected, then your sales under accrual and cash will just be the same. But let's try to check. The accounts receivable balances were 400,000 and 485,000 on December 31, 2022 and 2023. The 400,000 here is a December 31, 2022. How is that relevant? It is relevant because even though we are solving for 2023, the ending balance in 2022 will be the beginning balance on 2023. If at this point you have not figured that out, class, then you have a very big problem. Okay, the December 31, 2022 balance is given to give you an idea of how much would be the beginning balance. So if at the start of the year our accounts receivable is 400,000 and at the end of the year it's 485,000. So what happened to our accounts receivable? It increased or decreased? Increased by 85,000. And what does it mean if it will increase by 85,000? We had sales during the year. Our sales on account during the year exceeded our collection on such sales by 85,000. Okay. And do we know how much were the sales that were on account during the year? The answer is yes. How much was the sales on account? The credit sales, it was 3 million. So if you had sales on account in the amount of 3 million and your accounts receivable increased by 85,000, what does it mean? Your collection on those credit sales is lesser than 85,000. Okay, so what do you do to determine the amount of collection on your credit sales? How much then is your collection on your credit sales? You deduct the 85,000 from the 3 million. How much is that? 2,915,000. So basically, what does that amount represent? That represents the amount you have collected on your credit sales. Okay, and how did we get that amount? By removing the portion that was not yet collected. How did we know there were portions of our credit sales during the year that were not collected? We know that that happened because our accounts receivable increased. Okay. So again, you may use the T account, but really, class, you should no longer be needing to write down any solution for this kind of problem. Okay. But why is the answer not 2,915,000 if that represents the collection on your sales on account? Because aside from our sales that were on account, we also had cash sales. And will your cash sales form part of your sales under the cash basis? The answer is yes, most definitely. So what else do you have to do? You have to add the 200,000. Okay, so you add the 200,000 with the 2,915,000, you would get 3,115,000. And that's it. 2 points already. I know, it's no longer 2 points. Okay, the part was how many items? 70, 80. 70. It's about 1.6, 1.5. Okay. Alternative solution. You add the 200,000 and the 3 million together at the start. Okay. And then you just deduct the 85,000. But again, my goal here is for you to understand what gave rise to the 85,000 and how does that affect the amount to be reported under cash basis and accrual basis. Okay, so again, if your receivable increase, class, what does that mean? Your collections on your credit sales is lower than your credit sales. Because the only reason your accounts receivable will increase under these circumstances is that you were not able to collect in full your credit sales. Okay, let's move on to problem 14-5. So here the question again is under cash basis, what amount of sales revenue should be reported for the current year? And again, cash basis, you only look for collections. How much of your sales resulted in cash during the year? Can you have credit sales? Yes. And they will form part of your sales under cash basis if you were able to make the collection in the same period. Okay, because your sales will be triggered by collections. Okay, you're given with figures there. Next paragraph tells us on January 1, customers owed 1 million. Customers owed 1 million. So meaning what we have a receivable from our customers in the amount of 1 million. What amount does that represent? That will serve as the beginning balance of your accounts receivable. Okay, so very simple sentence, guys. But if you cannot figure out that that sentence tells you the beginning balance of your accounts receivable, then again, that would be a very big problem. On December 31, customers owed 750,000. What does this tell us? This tells us the ending balance of your accounts receivable. The entity used the direct write-off method for bad debts. No bad debts were recorded in the current year. Okay. By the way, what would be the entry if you write off receivables under the direct write-off method? Debit, doubtful accounts expense, and credit, accounts receivable. Okay. But again, as what I've told you last time, doubtful accounts expense are not supposed to be partnered with your accounts receivable. Okay, but under direct write-off, you do not use the allowance account. So when you write off, your write-off will result in doubtful accounts expense. Okay. I don't think that will be relevant in this problem. Okay, let's start. Cash sales is 2 million. Okay, and then you have returns and allowances in the amount of 100,000. Okay, will your cash sales form part of the sales under cash basis? The answer is yes. Credit sales, you have 3 million and then discounts of 150. Now, what happened to this 3 million class? Were you able to collect the entire 3 million? The answer is no. Because what actually, yes, how do we know that you were able to make a collection on your credit sales during the year? What happened to the accounts receivable? It decreased by how much? And what does it mean if your accounts receivable decreased? Which one was greater, your collection or your credit sales? Which one is greater, your collection or your credit sales? In the previous problem, what happened? The accounts receivable increased, and what did we say? Your collection was lesser than the amount of credit sales. If your accounts receivable decreased this time, what does that tell us? That we were able to collect more than our credit sales. Okay? So, what does that mean? Our collection exceeded our credit sales in the amount of 250,000. And was that 250,000 included in the sales during the year? No, because since it was from old receivables, that sales was already recorded in the previous year. But under cash basis, when should that sale be recorded? Only in the period in which they are collected. And when were they collected? Only this year. But were they included in the figures for sales figures for the year? The answer is no. So what are you supposed to do with the 250,000? Add or deduct? Add. It's a sales that happened last year, which will only recognize as sales this year because we are using cash basis. Okay, so you will have to add the 250. Okay, but going back to my question, were we able to collect the entire 3 million class? Were we able to collect the entire 3 million? The account class was settled, but how much did we receive from this 3 million? Were we able to receive the whole amount of 3 million class? The answer is no, because there were discounts. Okay, again, how much was the value of the account? It was 3 million, but it translated into how much money? Did it translate into 3 million? The answer is no, because we gave away discounts. So how much then did we really collect from these 3 million sales? Only 2,850,000. And how did you get that one? By deducting the discount. Okay, we received 2,850,000, but it is settlement for our sale of 3 million. But how much then are we going to recognize as how much then are we going to recognize as sales class? Only 2,850,000. Because again, we are driven, or we are dependent on cash flow. Okay. So we started with 3 million. We deducted the 150 because it did not translate into money. But what else, class? Aside from collecting on these 3 million accounts, we were also able to make a collection on sales that happened the previous year. Okay, but since we'll be recognizing them this year, that will be an additional sales this year. Why will that be an addition? Because the figures given to us did not include them. Why were they not included? Because they were already reported as sales in the previous year. Okay, but under cash basis, we will recognize them this year. So we will add the 250. Okay. What else happened? Cash sales. You had cash sales of 2 million. Can you give me the subtotal first? 3 million minus 150 plus 250. 3 million 100. Now, why are we not just going to add the 2 million here? Okay, why is there no 5,100,000 the choices? Why are we not just going to add the 2 million? Did we receive this 2 million class? Yes, because this is a cash sale. Okay? But what happened? There were returns and allowances. What happened under returns and allowances if it's a cash sale? If it's a credit sale class, no problem. You will just cancel the accounts receivable if there is a return or returns. There is a return or an allowance class. What will be your entry for returns and allowances for credit sales? Debit, sales, returns, and allowances, and credit, accounts receivable. But here, what transaction gave rise to returns and allowances? It's your cash sales. So what then will happen? You will refund the customer. Okay? But again, technically, did you receive the entire 2 million? Yes. But what happened to the 2 million? A portion of it was refunded to the customer. Okay, so that will be removed from your sales figures. So how much then technically will be your cash sales under cash basis class? It will only be 1,900,000. So you add the 1,900,000 and the 3 million, you would 1,900,000 and the 3 million, 1,900,000 and 3,100,000 will give you 5 million. (14-6). So as always, go to the question first, class. Under cash basis, what amount should be reported as sales? And if this is the case, what do we expect to be given, class? We would be given our sales figures under accrual, which is broken down into cash sales and sales on account. Okay, and cash sales is 500, and then sales on account is 3 million. If you add the two, how much will you get? You will get 3,500,000. Do we expect that to be our answer? No, because again, we are under cash basis. So what should then you do? You should eliminate letter C. Okay, so your answer should either be A, B, or D. Okay, let's see what happened here. Jacqueline Company began the current year with accounts receivable of 1 million. Obviously, this will serve as our beginning balances and allowance for doubtful accounts of 50,000. During the current year, the following events occurred. Write-offs of 100, okay, and then cash sales of 500. Doubtful accounts expense recognized would be 200. At the end of the current year, the entity showed a balance in accounts receivable in the amount of 1,700,000. Very tempting to use the account class, but let's try to analyze this by simply looking at the problem. Okay, beginning balance of your accounts receivable, how much? 1 million. Okay, and then ending balance is 1,700,000. But because the problem tells us about write-offs class, we cannot just simply conclude that the changes here will just be the change in our accounts receivable will simply be caused by the difference between the credit sales and your collection. Okay, we will have to expand our analysis further. Okay, but at a glance, class, what happened to your accounts receivable? It increased by 700,000. If there were no write-offs, what would be our analysis here? If your accounts receivable increased, your collections on your sales on account was lower than the sales itself in the amount of 700,000. Okay, this would tell us that our sales is greater on account is greater than the collections on the sales on account by 700,000. But since there are write-off, it's possible that the difference may actually be greater. Okay, how much was written off? 100,000. What's the entry if you write off, class? Debit. Under allowance method, debit, allowance for doubtful accounts and credit, accounts receivable in the amount of 100,000. Okay, so meaning the 1,700,000 class was already decreased by the write-off in the amount of 100,000. If there had been no write-offs, how much then would be the balance of your ending AR? How much then would be the balance of your ending AR? It would have been 1,800,000. Do you get that, class? Before the end of the year, you have write-offs in the amount of 100,000. So without the write-offs, the balance would have been 1,800,000. 800. So that means there would have been an increase in your accounts receivable in the amount of 800,000. And that will now be the amount that will represent the difference between your sales on account and your collection on those sales on account. Okay? So how much then is your sales on account? 300,000. How much was the increase in the accounts receivable? Assuming no write-offs, it would have been 800. What do we do with the 800? Plus or minus? Do we add it or deduct from the 3 million? What does it represent? Since our AR received, what does that mean? Which one is greater, the collection or the sales? Collection, AR increased. What does that mean? Which one is greater, collection or sales? It is your sales. Okay, your uncollected sales is greater. That's why your accounts receivable is your uncollected sales increased because collection is lesser than your sales on account. So that means how much then were you able to collect? Only 2,200,000. You deduct the 800 from the 3 million. Okay, and that will give you how much? 3 million minus 800 will give you 2,200,000. But why is that not yet the answer? Because what does that represent? Only the collection in your sales on account, and your sales on the cash basis should also include your cash sales. And how much is your cash sales in this problem? 500,000. So your total sales under the cash basis would be your 2,700,000, which is letter A. One very simple takeaway, class. Okay, under cash basis, your sales will not just be your cash sales. Your sales can include sales on account, so long as the collections were done in the same reporting period. Okay? That would be the worst scenario, class, for you to think that your sales under cash basis will only be your cash sales. Okay? It will include your sales on account, but it should only be those that were already collected during the year. It can even include sales from the previous year, so long as the collections are done in the current year. Just to practice, class, how much then would be the balance of your allowance for doubtful accounts from this problem? I'll give you 1 minute to work on it. How much would be the balance of your allowance for doubtful accounts at the end of the year? It's 150,000. How did we get 150,000? How much was the beginning balance? 50,000. What will increase your allowance, class? What will give rise to additional allowance? It's the recognition of your doubtful accounts expense. Because again, under the allowance method, what's the entry to record additional provisions for allowance, debit, doubtful accounts expense, and credit, allowance for doubtful accounts. So 50 plus 200,000. So that's 250. What else will affect your ADA? What will decrease your ADA? What will decrease your ADA, class? It is your write-offs. Did we have any write-offs in this problem? Yes, in the amount of 100. So 250 minus 100 will give you 150,000. Let's proceed to problem 14-7. Many would find this difficult because it involves a different kind of account. Okay. Normally, you will be dealing with accounts receivable or accounts payable when when what is involved is your inventory or your payables or your purchases. In 14-7, what account is involved? It is your prepaid insurance. Okay, so when do you record prepaid insurance? If you have made advance payments. Okay. The question here is what amount of insurance premium was paid in the current year. Okay. Again, you can use the account here, but let's try to solve this without using the account. The company reported that all insurance premium paid are debited to prepaid insurance. Okay. For interim reporting, the entity made monthly charges to insurance expense with an offset to prepaid insurance. Let's analyze this sentence, guys. What does this mean? For interim reporting, the entity made monthly charges to insurance expense with an offset to prepaid insurance. From this sentence, what entry do you think was prepared every month? What entry was prepared every month? Debit, prepaid, no. Debit, insurance, expense. Okay, you're adjusting, and because you are maintaining a prepaid insurance account, your adjustments here would be the recognition of your insurance expense. It says here charges to insurance expense. So every month, what will be your entry? Debit, insurance expense, and credit, prepaid insurance. So what's the effect of this one? This will reduce your prepaid insurance. It's just like you're adjusting or updating your prepaid insurance every month. The entity provided the following information for the current year. So the question now is, what then is your payments? Okay, so how do we analyze the 625,000 class? Charges to insurance expense. So this would be the debits to your insurance expense during the year, okay, including the adjustments at the end of the year. Okay, so that means the ledger of your insurance expense account shows a total amount of 625,000. During the year, we debited insurance expense for a total of 625. And if you debited your insurance expense during the year in the amount of 625,000, what account was credited? What account was credited? It would be your prepaid insurance. Okay? So the 625,000 tells us that aside from the fact that you have debited your insurance expense 625,000, this would mean that you have also credited your prepaid insurance in the amount of 625. Okay, so this will now be the analysis class. If your credit postings class to your prepaid insurance is 625 and still you have an ending balance of 175, what then was the total debit postings of your prepaid insurance? Because how do you get your ending balance, class? Total debits from your prepaid insurance and then deduct your 625, your credit posting. That will give you your ending. So if you were to prepare the account, visually lang, your total credit side will have the 625 and the 175. And how much will that give you? That will give you 800,000. So if your total credit side is 800,000, your total debit side should also be 800,000. And you already know that your beginning balance is 150. So that means you have debit postings in your prepaid insurance in the amount of 650. And what does that debit posting to your prepaid insurance represent? It represents your payments of insurance premium. Because what does the first sentence tell us? That all insurance premiums paid are debited to prepaid insurance. Okay, so that means we're looking for the debit posting to your prepaid insurance. And based on our analysis, it is 650,000. Okay, and that is already the answer. How can this problem be modified, class? You can be given with the 650, and instead you will be asked with the 625. Let's proceed to problem 14-8. What amount was paid for operating expenses? And the problem gives us your operating expenses. What's the composition of your operating expenses? You have your depreciation, you have your insurance, you also have your salaries. And we already know that depreciation is not a cash expense. It is not paid in cash. Okay, and that would be the principal source of difference between expenses under accrual and expenses under cash basis. Okay, so definitely our answer will not include the depreciation. Do you follow, class? So our expenses now will be composed of your insurance expense and your salaries expense. Insurance expense is 700, salaries expense is 1,500,000. But our answer is not 2,200,000. Because again, we are not asked for our total cash expenses. We're asked for payments for your operating expenses. Let's analyze insurance first. Your expense during the year is 700,000. Now, what happened to your prepaid insurance account? Is it related to your insurance expense? Yes, because the expiration or the consumption of your prepaid insurance will give you your insurance expense. Basically, your insurance expense will tell you the expired portion of your prepaid insurance. And if you cannot think that these two accounts are related, then again, that would be a very big problem. Now, what happened to your prepaid insurance during the year? Did it increase or decrease? Did it increase or decrease? And if you cannot know whether it increased or decreased, that would be even a bigger problem. What happened? It increased. And this is my concern now, class. If you go back to problem 14-3, you're given two columns there. The first column is 2022 and the second column is 2023. So the 2022 balance would be your beginning and the 2023 balance would be your ending. If we go back to problem 14-8, what happened? What information is given in the first column? December 31, which is actually your ending. And the January 1 here would be your beginning. If you will not be able to notice the difference in the placement, class, is that a big problem? Yes. So you might think now, Basin, that's the reason I got all those problems wrong. I just switched up the... Is that realistic, class? Did that happen to you? Should you let that happen in your exam this August? Because the answer is no. Be careful with the figures. Do not assume that the first column is always the beginning class. Then now you'd be thinking, maybe that's what happened all along. I felt so confident with my answer and I still got it wrong. Let's try to solve later if we interchange the figures because if the answer will be among the choices. Okay, so hopefully you can now answer what happened to your prepaid insurance account. Did it increase or decrease? Increased by 50,000. So what does that mean? By the way, when will your prepaid insurance increase, class? What transaction will give rise to an increase in your prepaid insurance? If you pay for insurance. Okay. So what happened to your prepaid insurance account? It increased. So what does that mean? The amount you have paid has exceeded the amount that the portion that has expired. The amount that you have paid has exceeded the portion that you have consumed. And how much then is the difference between your payments and your consumption? The difference is 50,000. But how much did you report as an expense? 700. And what does the 700 represent? That represents the portion that has expired. And how can we use the 700 and the 50 to arrive at the amount that we have paid? So if the portion that has expired is 700 and we know that, what happened? Is it the expired portion that is greater or the payment that is greater, class? Payment is greater. How much has expired? 700. And we know that the amount of payment is greater than the expired portion by 50,000. So what do we do with the 50,000? Add or deduct? Add it to the 700 to get the amount you have paid. So how much then have you paid for insurance? It's 750,000. See, so that we don't have to, sige, later na. 750. Let's proceed with salaries. What kind of account is prepaid insurance, class? Asset or liability? Asset. Next, accrued salaries payable. What kind of account? Is it an asset or a liability? Liability, okay? So the insurance is up. There's prepayment in insurance, and then there will be accrual of your salaries expense. Okay, salaries of 1,500,000 is your expense for the year. But did you really pay for the entire 1,500,000? Okay, you have to check your accrued salaries payable to determine that. Your salaries expense is 1,500,000, but what happened to your accrued salaries payable, class? Did it increase or decrease? It decreased by how much? 20,000. And what does that mean? What does it mean if your accrued salaries payable have decreased? That means, class, your payments have exceeded your expenses. Okay, what kind of account are we dealing with here? Liability. And what happened to the liability account? It decreased. And when will your liability decrease, class? Only if you make a payment. So what does this tell us? Your accrued salaries payable, since your accrued salaries payable have decreased, that means our payments have exceeded our expenses in the amount of 20,000. And how much salaries expense do we have? 1,500,000. How much payment then did we make for salaries? 1,500,000. 1,520,000. Okay, that's the amount of payment you have made for salaries. So 1,520 plus, how much was it, class? Insurance payments? 50, 750. 1,520 plus 750 will give you 2270. And that will give you letter B. Now let's try to check if the figures were interchanged, class. If the December 31 is the January 1 and the January 1 is the December 31. If that's the case, what happened to your prepaid insurance? It decreased. And what does that mean if your prepaid insurance is decreased? Your payments are lesser than your expenses. Your advance payments is lesser than your expenses. So what do we do when we have? What do we do with the 700,000 insurance expense? We deduct the 50,000, and that will give you 650. Next, if we interchange your accrued salaries payable, what happened to your salaries payable? Increase. Am I correct? Increased by 20. And what does it mean? What does it mean if your liability increased? Your payments are lesser than your expenses. Your payments are lesser than your expenses, or your expenses are greater than your payments. So what do we do to get our payments? We deduct the 20. So you will have 1,480,000. 1,480,000 plus 650, is it among the choices? So you would have thought all along that you answered correctly, but you just interchanged January 1 and December 31. Imagine that's the reason you keep on failing. I'm sorry I'm saying keep on failing. That's the reason you failed class. Yeah, at least once lang. That's the reason you failed, because you interchange the beginning and the ending. So please be careful, class, okay? If figures are presented in multiple columns, make sure you got the correct appreciation of the given. Let's proceed to 14-9. Question: in the statement of financial position on March 31, prepared under cash basis, what amount should be reported as capital? Okay, what's happening here? On February 1, the company, with an initial cash investment of 200,000, the proprietorship provided 500,000 of services in February and received full payment in March. Class, going back to the most basic, what are the 4 transactions that will affect capital, class? Number 1, what will increase? Let's start with the increases. What will increase your capital? Investments. Okay, that's the first major group of transaction. What else can increase capital? Recognition of profit. Okay, so capital increases with investments, initial or additional investments, and it will also increase if the company has a profit. Decreases. What's the opposite of investment? Withdrawal. Okay, but in a corporate setup, your withdrawal will come in the form of dividends. Okay, so capital decreases with withdrawals, and what else? The opposite of your increases, class. Opposite of investment is withdrawal. Opposite of profit is loss. So if the company suffers a loss, then that will result in a decrease to your capital. So these are the 4 major transactions that will affect your capital: investments, withdrawals, profit, or loss. But of course, these 4 cannot happen at the same time, because what's the reason? You cannot have profit and loss at the same time. You can have investments during the year and at the same time have drawings also. But it does not make sense for you to have a profit and loss at the same time. So those are the 4 possible transactions, but at most 3 can happen in a single reporting period. And basically, that's what is expected. That is what is being tested in this problem. Or we can just review your statement of owner's equity. Where does it start? Statement of owner's equity, beginning balance plus investments minus withdrawals plus minus profit or loss, and the last line would be your ending capital balance. And basically, that is what is being asked here, with one caveat, class. In your profit or loss, you will be using cash basis. Okay, that's it. In everything you've solved before, you solve for profit or loss under accrual, but here you will be using cash basis. That will be the single source of difference here. So start. Let's say our beginning balance is 0, because this is just this was established this year. Beginning balance 0. What happened? Initial cash investment in the amount of 200 plus or minus. Okay, add to your capital. Okay, next, let's try to look for the transactions we were looking for. Aside from investment, what else? Drawings. Do we have drawings this year? The proprietorship incurred expenses of 300,000 in February, which were paid in April. During March, Tory drew 100,000 against the capital account. So do we have drawings in this reporting period? Yes, in the amount of, what do we do with the 100 plus or minus? Minus. Next, we already have the investments withdrawals. What's next? Profit or loss. Let's check if we have a profit or loss. But again, be careful, you are using cash basis. First, revenues. How much revenue do you have? What will be the source of your revenue? Your services. How much? What's the value of the services you have provided during the year? 500,000. And what happened to this 500,000? Were we able to fully collect this? The answer is yes. So how much then would be your revenues under cash basis? 500,000. Not because you have already provided the service, but because you were able to collect on these services. Okay? So your sales revenue would be 500,000. Next, expenses. How much expenses did you incur? So are we going to deduct the 300,000 from the 500,000 to compute for our profit or loss? No, because what did the problem say? It was only paid in, and the cutoff in our interim report is March 31. So under cash basis, how much then would be our expenses? 0. Why? Because we have not paid for any expense. When will the 300,000 be recognized as an expense? Only in April. But what is the date of our financial position class? March 31. So for this reporting period, our expenses would be 0. Okay? So how much then would be our profit class? It will just be the 500,000. Okay, 500 minus 0 will give you 500. Okay, so we started with the 0 beginning balance, initial investment of 200 plus, that's an increase, and then withdrawals in the amount of 100, and then profit. What do we have? Profit or loss? So what do we do with that? Plus or minus? Plus. So 100 plus 500, you would get an ending balance of your capital in the amount of 600,000. Just imagine if this will be the problem that will come out in your. Can you imagine, class? Very hard to imagine. That's why it will not also happen. Okay, 14-10. What total amount was paid for expenses during the current year? How much expenses was reported, class, by Miramar? 3 million. But again, that's not it because we're looking for payments. And of course, 3 million is not in the choices. What else does the problem tell us? The expenses for the current year included depreciation of 200,000 and amortization of 100,000. Okay, are these expenses? Yes, but do these represent cash expenses? Does this require payment, class? The answer is no. And what are we looking for? We're looking for payments for expenses. But the problem is these 200 and 100 is included in the 3 million, correct? So what do we do with the 200,000 and the 100,000? We deduct it from 3 million, okay? So make sure to deduct the 200 and the 100. Now, how are the information given, class? Which one comes first? Ending. So let's try to solve this, then let's switch it again afterwards. Okay, what happened to your prepaid expenses? Did it increase or decrease? Now, it increased. Class, don't get this wrong, class. It increased by how much? And if your prepaid expenses increase, what does that tell us? That your prepayments are greater than your expenses. Okay? And what are we trying to look for? The amount of payment. So, since we are starting with our expenses class, what do we do with the 50,000 increase? How do we analyze this one? We're starting with our expenses and our prepaid expenses increased. So how should we analyze this one? That our expenses are lesser than our payments. Okay? The reason that your prepaid expenses increased by 50 is because your expenses are lesser than your payments. So what then do you do to determine the amount of payments? You add the 50. Just for us to easily answer the when we switch it later, please take note of the plus 50 here. We'll just reverse everything later. Okay? Do you get the analysis, class? What happened to your prepaid expenses? It increased. Okay? There are two ways of looking at this one, class. Your expenses are lesser than your prepayments, or your prepayments are greater than your expenses. But since we are starting with our expenses, let's start with our analysis with expenses. So analyze this as your expenses are lesser than your payments. So to get your payments, you add the 50. Okay. Next, accrued expenses. What's happening in your accrued expenses? What happened? Increase or decrease? Increase. And what does it mean if you're accrued? What kind of account is accrued expense, class? What kind of account? Asset or liability? Liability. Okay, what happened to your accrued expense? It increased by 200. What does it mean? What does it mean if your liability increased? That would mean your payments are lesser than your expenses. Does that make sense, class? I hope it does. Okay, that means your payments are lesser than your expenses. But since we're starting with expenses, class, let's start our analysis with expenses. What does it mean if your accrued expenses increased? This would mean your expenses are greater than your payments. Does that make sense? Your expenses are greater than your payments. That's why your accrued expense account increased. And since we're starting with expenses and we are looking for payments, again, what was our analysis? Expenses is greater than payments. Since we're looking for our payments and expenses are greater than payments, what do we do? Plus or minus? Minus, deduct the 200,000. Okay? So where did we start, class? 3 million. We deducted the 200 depreciation and the amortization of 100. And then what did we do with the 50,000 class increase? Add. And then what did we do with the increase in liability? Deduct. So it's 2,700,000. Did we add the 50? 2,750 and then deduct the, so you will get to 2,550,000. Okay? Let's assume we reverse now, class. Balayo na lang. We will still deduct the 200 and 100. Do you follow, class? Plus, what we're doing now is that assuming the balances are reversed lang, ha? Let's just check if it will come out in the choices, class. 2,700,000 minus 50 plus 200. It's 2,850,000. Okay. So it's either you get to it 50 because you reverse the two, or baliktad tanan imong analysis, class. That's the problem. So that's why it's important for me that our analysis makes sense to you, class. Okay. Now, for this problem, I want you to solve Plus, I'm praying you'll be able to solve the question I'm going to ask. Please solve for the amount of payments for your accounts payable. How much have you paid? Still on 14-10. How much have you paid for your accounts payable? First one to blurt out the answer will get 2 points in our exam. And if someone gives the if someone gives the answer already, we'll end we'll end the class after discussing the answer. Okay, so give me the answer already. Yeah, I'll give the solution later. I'll discuss the answer. You can just give no give your answer, do not give a guess. Just try. Not 15,500. 15. Do you have the same answer? Basin ako na safe. Let me double check. 15. What's your answer? 13,500,000. That's my answer also. So let's discuss it and let's check if indeed that's correct. Answer will be 13,500,000. Okay, how do you solve 13,500,000 as payments for accounts payable? You need to determine your purchases first. And where do you get your purchases? By starting with your cost of goods sold. If your cost of goods sold is 15,500,000, what happens if you add that with your ending inventory? If you add 15,500,000 and your ending inventory of 8 million, that will give you 23 million. What does the 23 million represent? It represents your tigas, your total goods available for sale. Okay, ending inventory plus cost of goods sold will give you your tigas. And what's the composition of your total goods available for sale? What else will give you your total goods available for sale? Your beginning inventory and your purchases. Okay? So if your tigas is 23 million and your beginning inventory is 9 million, that would tell you that your purchases is how much? 14 million. Okay? And assuming everything is on account, assuming everything goes through your accounts payable, since we're looking for your payments for your purchases, you pair your 14 million purchases with your beginning balance. How much is your beginning balance of your accounts payable? Beginning balance class is 7 million. And you have purchases of 14 million. For you to have a beginning balance of 7 million and purchases of 14 million, and for you to have an ending balance of 7,500,000, what is required? You should have a payment in the amount of, is that 13,500,000? 7 million plus 14 million class, how much would that give you? 21. So for you to have an ending balance of 7,500,000, you deduct the 7,500,000 from the 21 million, you would get how much? 13,500,000. And that will be your payments for your purchases. So the answer is 13,500,000. Okay, make sure your analysis is not reversed, class. Okay, we'll end here. I'll see you again on Monday. Hopefully, we'll be done with this by Monday. What's your